Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Youtini Show, your one-stop shop for all things going on in Star Wars. I'm Eric here with Corey and Wes, and tonight we are reacting to the series finale of Andor. The Last Order receives an incredible new cover. Fortnite just got invaded by AI Darth Vader, and they're getting sued for it. And Hondo Ohnaka comes to Star Wars Outlaws with its final DLC. But we begin tonight, of course, at the end. The series finale of Andor aired last week, and I was lucky enough to join the Bounty Hunt podcast to chat about it for nearly 3 hours, so go check that out if you want some really in-depth discussions. But there was no way we could start the show without discussing it here. Andor has been incredibly important for all of us, so I want to start with the biggest question of them all. Guys, is this the best Star Wars project we have ever seen?
I actually didn't really like it that much.
All right, Corey is not going to be on again. Sorry.
I'm back, baby, by the way.
Welcome. It's been, I think you've been gone throughout 5 years of Cassian Andor's life. If we look at the timeline.
It feels like I've been gone for a lifetime, and I think it's been like 4 or 5 weeks or something like that. I'm really sorry. One thing after another. But question, is it the best Star Wars project ever? I think no doubt, honestly. I think
no doubt even.
I honestly feel that way. I would rate it up there with freaking Empire, honestly, at this point. Like, I mean, that third arc with the Gorman massacre genuinely I think might be the best like hour and 45 minutes of Star Wars footage, like, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just so good. We have to set new standards now. Like, we have to remeasure our expectations now. Like, this shouldn't have been possible, like, with an IP like this. Like,
yeah.
I don't see how Marvel could ever do this. That's probably the closest comparison to an IP. I don't see how Star Trek could ever do this. I mean, I just didn't think it was possible. Frankly, I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah. Shattered the brain and mind, the brined, if you will,
the
what is literally possible in entertainment, much less how good was the story. Wes, of course, we've been talking about it every week. So all I have left to know about you is your thoughts on the finale. So with that in mind, is this the best Star Wars project ever in your mind?
I see. When you brought that question up, I didn't even take into account the movies. So I'm like, yes, this is the best Star Wars TV show, hands down.
Sure.
Is it better than the movies or any of the movies? And see, oh my gosh! See, I don't even.
It's not a straight.
No, it's not.
Listen, it should be though, right? It should be like, oh, the shows, the movies. Like, you know, you tell your friends, like, you gotta watch the movies. You could probably skip the show. Like, that's what you can say, but you can't say that anymore.
Yeah,
Wes.
yeah. Well, because
you're gonna look in my face and tell me that Attack of the Clones is better than Andor. I mean, no shade to Attack of the Clones, but you're gonna tell me Tony Gilroy made a less cool Star Wars movie, which is what it is.
I'm just. For Rogue One for what it is, and for A New Hope of where it's at, and I mean, just the placement of Andor, the way that they bookend the beginning of the show and the end of the show, it's just, I think it's on par with the original trilogy movies. I'm not saying any of them are better, but I am definitely saying, yes, this is probably tied with the original trilogy. I mean,
we'll take that.
Yeah, I'm tied with the trilogy movies, so yeah.
We'll take that. You know, those came out the year that you're retired, so you have a lot of fun memories about them.
That's right. My kids are grown.
They're all gone.
I just don't think I've ever been able to so confidently feel that like Andor. I mean, if you tell me now that you didn't enjoy Andor, I don't like trust your opinions about pizza anymore, or beer, or cars, or restaurants, or literally anything. I just objectively think that you have really bad taste if you didn't like Andor, and that's like awful to say.
No, but it is that kind of feeling. Like I feel like for me, my short answer is yes. I came up with the question. It was very leading. This is my favorite Star Wars project ever. Season 1 was, to be clear, and I think Season 2 somehow eclipsed it.
Yeah, dude.
And I think that ultimately, Andor is the first Star Wars project I've had where I have zero reservations about recommending it to my non-Star Wars friends in any way.
Yeah,
I don't have to
me
say,
too.
like okay, the original trilogy. You do have to say, hey, you should watch New Hope first. It was made in the 70s,
Yeah,
but
dude,
oh
you
my
have to
gosh, it's so
you have
great.
to give
You
a
have to do a little
you have to
bit,
give it a
you
little
know?
prologue. You do.
Yeah,
Listen,
like
my
the sequel trilogy. Okay, you do have to know a little bit about the people that came before, but it's really good. And then the prequels, you're like, listen, I really come to appreciate them. Even like the other shows, you're like, well, they really dive into the lore, and the Mandalorian is really exciting as an adventure show. It was the first Star Wars, like Andor. I can just be like, dude, watch this show. It's the best show you've ever seen. Like that.
I
That is
know.
that's the pitch. Like
It really is.
it's 8 Star Wars movies. In all reality, I think that whenever we do those tier lists now, you can get or fans should make posters for each arc because those are basically 8. There's 8 Andor movies
Yeah.
and there's 9 Skywalker Saga movies. Is kind of how it goes, and I just think the finale confirmed that for me. I
Yeah.
knew they would land it. I wasn't worried in the slightest because they've nailed every other arc, but they just brought it home, and it's the most. I'll say this: some of the other shows have tried to like give the feeling of the films. I think like, oh, let's see if we can make you remember this. The last arc was literally Rogue One, just longer. It looked
was,
like
I know.
the camera, the lighting,
It felt like
it was
it led
Rogue
to it.
One, but more.
I've heard people call Andor a masterclass, and it really is a masterclass in every aspect of the show was flawless, truly.
Yep.
Like the writing from beginning to end, the writing in every episode, the writing like every episode felt like it was really important. It had a big climax, and you just like you finish every single episode with that feeling of like, man, I don't want to turn this off and go to bed. Like I can't. I want to start the next one. Like that's how you feel about every single episode. The cinematography was flawless. The CGI was flawless. The structure of the show was flawless. Like this might be like the new like gold standard for these TV shows. Like I've been bitching on this show for a year about how like I'm so tired of this 8 episode, 10 episode, 12 episode arc bullshit for TV shows.
Yep.
But like this is how you do it now. Like it's 3 episode arcs. I don't care how long the season is anymore. If it's 6 episodes, maybe that's fine. 3 episode arc. That's the flaw. It's flawless. Like
if they'd said, okay, it's Andor season 2, it's gonna be the Gorman Massacre arc and then the finale arc, and that's what you get, I would have been like, you know what? It's kind of short. Pretty damn good season of television.
I know. Yeah. Yes. Like,
well,
like
Corey, I'm sorry to cut you off. I didn't ask you this yet because you have been away. How did the all at one drop work for you? We've talked about it on here before, but for people that haven't heard you, did you?
I think it worked.
Did it work okay?
Actually. Yeah, I think it totally worked, and
yeah,
it worked because of the structure of the show. Like, I think if you
that's what it reminded me of.
And that's why I feel like the 3 episode arc like format is perfect because you get a lot of volume at one time on a weekly basis.
Yep.
And every episode, it feels like a mini movie. Like you're watching. I mean, it's the length of a movie. So like
they were full movies basically.
Yeah, I know. It's just
the whole thing.
I don't. We've never seen this before. I mean, I've never seen a TV show that's done this, and I will freely admit that I'm not like the most media literate person by any means, right? Like, I started Youtini because like it's hard to navigate Star Wars books, and I just wanted to be like, all right, here's the information, do with it what you will, right? Like I don't pretend to be a, if you want really deep dives, like Sky Talkers is who you got to go listen to because they're like good at that philosophical. That's not my expertise by any means, but like I've just never seen a show do this with this perfect 3 episode arc thing. And then the first season was like a long period of time, and then the second season covered each little bit covered an arc. It had a very clear beginning and an ending. It had a map, a trajectory of where they wanted to go. Like I never really. I've always kind of thought that structure was important for storytelling, but like. This was like a strict structure. Like they didn't deviate from it literally at all. And I'm like, maybe that's actually the formula for perfect TV. Like
constraints build creativity. I mean, it was the idea that Tony Gilroy, by the way, Tony Gilroy, for anyone that hasn't been following on our social medias or anyone else's, he's been on a generational press tour run. I don't think he said no to a single interview in the last 12 weeks. The guy's been everywhere.
Every day is a new freaking interview, it seems like.
And they're so great. And he talks so extensively about the fact that the show was saved by going from 5 seasons to 2, by him not directing, like all these things that seem to have gotten in the way and were setbacks saved the show so much because they got to know, oh, we only have this much time. Oh, we can do these jumps because we know the story. We've known it all. It got smaller and smaller, which allowed them to create bigger and bigger, weirdly enough. And it's such a perfect example of every person at every department doing the best work of their entire careers. I mean, Tony Gilroy has said, this is the most important thing I'll ever do, which shout out to him because he's got other jobs to get in the future. And he has said, I'm not going to care about you as much as I did Andor.
Yeah,
so I love
know.
that. But like every actor is giving the best performance of their careers. Every technician. I mean, the production designer did Chernobyl, and I think won an Emmy. And even this, I think, is better than that. The music was, since every part of it,
Yeah, I know.
was an expert artist being an expert artist. And I think that we talk so much about what lessons do we learn from shows, and I think that's the simplest one at the end of this finale. It's like you just need everyone on board to have the same vision, the same goal.
Yeah,
and be the best
Like,
they've ever been.
it's almost like it's almost like strict, like following like the blueprints. You're building a building, and you have to follow the blueprints down to the inch, even though you're building a skyscraper that is 80 floors, right? Like
They didn't.
I don't know.
They didn't. I don't think they did themselves any favors either by like creating this show as a lead up to Rogue One, that is a lead up to the most infamous Star Wars movie ever created, as A New Hope. So
that
like
should not have worked. It should have
yeah,
been like,
that-
you have to know so much.
we didn't ask for, right? We didn't.
Yeah,
we were
right,
like,
yeah.
we wanted Andor. We wanted a prequel to Rogue One. Like we didn't. Like we thought Rogue One, that was it. And the concept of this show as the rebellion as we know it is created within Andor.
Yeah.
And that helps people understand now where this came from and how the infamous super weapon, the enemy of all enemies within movies, the Death Star, has been created or was created and then destroyed. Like they really they had to knock it out of the park, because if they made this awful, if something had happened with the lead up to Rogue One, then they may have pushed themselves into a corner to where they were just like, you know what, we may never ever create TV shows again, just because we're gonna have such a bad following to it. But I mean, how do you I've never seen that. We talked about this last week. I've never seen another franchise do this to where they've done a lead up to a lead up of one of their movies, right?
It was a prequel to the prequel.
Yeah. Well, and it's tough because I always
to
say,
the sequel.
Yeah, right.
I know.
I'm always like, you can't, if you're going to reference something in media, and this is what a lot of modern adaptations get wrong. If you reference something, you have to be as good as the thing you're referencing, or else I, as an audience member, am going to think, oh, that's so much better than the crap I'm watching right now.
Yes.
Like, if you make a Godfather reference, you better be good. And you think of A New Hope, but it's so good that you're not like, oh, I wish I was watching A New Hope. And Andor it is so much better than Rogue One and all that stuff, which I want to ask you guys about as well, because Rogue One has been the #1 movie on Disney Plus for a week. Now it just became #2 because Lilo and Stitch is coming out this weekend. So the animated Lilo and Stitch is #1. That's fine.
Which is also an excellent movie, by the way.
Yeah, that's a weird double feature, but rock on.
Sure.
But Rogue One is the #1 movie for all intents and purposes. They also put Cassian in front of the poster on Disney Plus. Great job marketing. Have you guys watched Rogue since finishing Andor?
I haven't. I'm gonna watch it. I think tomorrow is when we're planning on watching it.
I haven't either.
I watched the first 3 minutes of it when he went and talked with Tivik.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, yes, now it all makes sense. But like, now that you think about it, like because we watched Andor, Rogue One could have been 6 hours long, if not more.
Oh yeah.
You know,
that's how it feels. It's so funny too. Like I remember when they announced Rogue Andor, and me being a huge Rogue One fan, I was excited because it was going to be tied into Rogue One, but like I don't think I would have picked Cassian as the character to tell the story.
No.
I don't like there's so many other really interesting characters in Rogue One that feel like the Star Wars thing that you should do, like the Star Wars story you should tell. Like this show should have been about Jyn Erso or Galen Erso or Saw Gerrera. Like those should have been the main characters in this show, not Cassian, who was almost like kind of a side character in
and he's
Rogue
not like
One,
a really great rebel. And like I remember thinking like I was really turned off of his character when I saw Rogue for the first time because I'm like, oh, he shoots his buddy in the back. He's not really a good character. And now after the show, I'm like, it could have been nobody else. He's the best rebel there's ever been.
I know,
Oh, you
truly.
wish Han Solo gets a medal? Shut up. Cassian Andor fought for 6 years. Like,
I know. Seriously. Yeah.
It's a complete character turn. I mean, he's my second favorite character in Star Wars right now, full stop. Like, and my number one was also in the show, Bail Organa. Shout out Benjamin Bratt, by the way, bringing that home in this final arc. I thought he did beautifully.
Yeah, he did.
He did do
Got to
really
say,
well.
May the Force be with you.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Yeah, it was just like, but before we get to the future ideas about Star Wars, because I think you're right, Corey, as you said earlier, it does change our bar and how we have to calibrate ourselves.
It also, one other thing I wanted to add to that, because thinking about the structure thing, in addition to like changing the bar of just like quality, it also changes the formula for what can really work. And frankly, I really hope this is not the only time we see this. I really hope they do something again with. Yes. I want a fully planned start to finish story in 3-episode arcs. I don't care how many episodes there are in the show anymore. I'm gonna shut the hell up about that. But I want 3-episode arcs. That's the perfect freaking formula. Like this is what they should have done this with the Kenobi show. And it has to be all right, we're gonna start this new show. It's not gonna be open ended. It's not gonna be a fan service thing. It's not gonna be Mandalorian where it just never ends and it leads into some movie that may or may not come. Like, we're gonna make a show, and the show is gonna be like, I don't know who's a character hasn't been done. Leia. Princess Leia is going to have a show, and this is the time period that it's going to cover. This is where the story is going to start. This is the moment that's going to lead up to the connection to some film that it's going to lead up to. We're going to tell this whole story, and we're not going to deviate from it. And once the show is done, there's no spinoffs, there's no anything. It's done forever, and this is the piece of art that we're creating. Like, that needs to be the formula from now on, I think, for creating Star Wars. Like,
well, people keep asking, like, what do you want to happen next? Which character should be touched? And my opinion is like, nobody. If Tony Gilroy's not writing their dialogue, don't do it.
I know.
It's gonna be Cassian got nuked, so we know they can't.
He's done.
Resist. Just resist. Don't write these. They're perfect. It happened, and it's so great.
Yeah. None of them. Yeah, I don't want to spin off from the show, frankly, ever. I never want to spin off. I don't want to see. I don't. The only open-ended spinoff is the kid, right? Like, we have to talk about the freaking kid at some point tonight, but like,
who is not Poe Dameron, by the way, guys. Kes Dameron and Shara Bay did not die for you to disrespect their legacy as parents.
True, it's true. But they did that, and I guess that's not really a spinoff. I guess it's just a continuation.
No, it's just something that happens in life.
Yeah,
you know, I think it was a great way to do it. But before we get too much into the future, I do want to ask you guys just to kind of round out the season itself, around just the stories. 2 questions. First of all, your favorite performance and or no, they're 2 different things. Your favorite performance, because I think that's different than favorite character. Throughout the series, because I have a weird one that I've been returning to.
Man, favorite performance, in my opinion, is not even a competition. I think it's Skarsgård and freaking
Luthen.
Like by a pretty large margin, actually. In my opinion, I know
I can't blame you, but no, that's great. It's a great choice.
My God, he was such a good character, well written character, a gritty character, somebody we've never really seen somebody so like brutal and
he is the rebellion though, which is so like after this I'm like, if you ask me who's the most important figure in the history of the rebellion, I'm gonna say Luthen Rail, earnestly. Like
truly, honestly,
he is
just
there
interesting
for the entire time except for freaking Yavin.
It was just very interesting to see the sort of like the part of the rebellion that Cassian references in Rogue One, where he talks about how we've all done stuff we're not proud of. To see that just like fully embodied, I think was really
and
really
they defend him at the end. Like, don't you listen? Shut your mouth when you're talking about Luthen. I know what he's done for you. I'm gonna go say, you shut up, Draven. I will.
And as an audience member, I didn't really feel like. I didn't know if I was supposed to like him or not. Like, throughout a lot of parts of the show, I didn't know if I trusted him. I didn't know if he was going to turn like kind of.
And he didn't care, man. He didn't
like,
need your approval.
I know he didn't. Like,
which was great, man. No, that's a great one. All right, best performance. Stellan Skarsgård is. He's got to get a supporting Emmy nod. I would.
Yeah,
of all the characters,
for sure he has to get
2 different personalities, played 2 different characters. Yeah, did it incredibly well. Switch back and forth within one character as you know, what was his name as the antiques dealer?
It was always Luthen.
Was it always
It was
Luthen?
Luthen.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it was just
But
like
it's
different
a fake
sides of
name
him.
though, right?
Yeah.
Like they named him.
Yeah, he's
once
like,
they
I'll be
told him a
Luthen,
little
you're
flashback
Clea,
story.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but he's also I think I would argue at least the most recognizable main character actor. Like Stellan Skarsgård's been around for a while, like Good Will Hunting,
Yeah.
Mamma Mia, like Thor, Dune. You know who he is, and he disappeared so completely.
Yeah.
All right, great one. Wes, favorite performance.
I would say the third arc, and it was Cyril. I love seeing Cyril's mind break.
Yeah. Oh,
Because-
bro, Kyle Solar, amazing.
He went from,
Great
I think we
character.
talked a little bit about this last week, but he went from being hardcore Empire to kind of his philosophies and his character waning a little bit about the Empire, then getting back into the Empire and being real steadfast,
Yeah.
and then actually like, I'm helping, I'm doing something. He's like, hold on a second, these people have a point here on Gorman. And then
And don't you feel like so conflicted about him too? Like
yeah, because he was manipulated. That poor guy,
Yeah.
he felt so
I
bad
know.
for him.
It's also
Was
so
he-
weird because he's like, I thought the fascism would work for me.
Yes.
So it's like,
I know.
also you're like, but also
right.
screw you, because like, who did
Exactly.
you want to subjugate? But also
Right.
you did get taken advantage of. So like, it's so.
And it came full circle for him. The whole reason that he was on that planet to begin with, the whole reason that he's in a relationship with Dedra is because of Andor, and he gets him finally with the gun to his
know.
face, and he goes, "Who the F are you, dude?" And
I
he's just
know.
like, "What?"
And have you ever seen? And we're talking about performance here, right? You no lines,
Didn't say
no
anything.
nothing. But his face, the way he just dropped, and he gave interviews about that day. He's like, it was freezing cold. I was exhausted. I'm like, dude, it read.
Yeah.
Because he was just like, every bit of light left his body. Just
It was so, man, he was great too. It was such a you just have such I had such mixed feelings by him the whole time.
Yeah.
Like at
Complex
first you hate
characters,
him,
man.
You hate him even though he's right. Like when the show starts, right? Like
Yeah.
he's like pursuing justice. He's kind of like what
Yeah.
happened? Like
People
he's
are
kind of
dead.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? Like he's trying to be the good guy. Like he's not trying to be an a-hole, really.
Mhm.
He's
And
like trying to pursue justice.
Little by
and
little,
like
the next
it just
promotion.
it leads him down
the
the wrong
next thing.
path.
Yeah.
And
to be fair,
then
he
at the
wasn't my
end, he
favorite.
kind of realizes it. Like
Yeah, he wasn't my favorite character to begin with, but just like the slow progression of him being manipulated and his mind is breaking at the end and all that, and his mom,
dude, all
up
that
his
all that
ass
shit.
about everything.
Oh my god, that
Oh,
dinner scene
how
is one of
can
the
we
best
relate?
scenes in Star Wars, dude.
I know, man. I know. I saw in an interview this week that he said that was like when you laid on the bed, like all like
Yeah!
cattywampus. You're from Texas, Wes. You know what cattywampus
Oh,
means.
cattywampus, I use it
Cattywampus,
weekly.
yeah.
He laid on the bed all cattywampus. That was improv. He just like did it. He felt like that's how he felt. He just did it, and they
And
left
Tony
it in the
Gilroy
show.
hated it. He's like, I thought it looks
Yeah.
terrible, and the director was like, trust me, it works. And in the final cut, he's like, everybody loves it.
It was great.
All right,
freaking
Kyle
great.
Solar, Stellan Skarsgård,
It was it for you.
tremendous. JG in the chat just want to shout out our fill-in for the month. JG says Genevieve O'Reilly. Absolutely no argument from me there. She was incredible.
For sure.
But mine that I keep going back to is Partagaz. I thought his acting, every scene, he's like, thesis, please.
I know.
Like the way he spoke was light, but so harsh, and like when he got flummoxed about like we can't find Clea, he's like, just say there's a plague. And
Yeah.
then everyone has to get it. Like
He was
and
so
then
quick about it. Yeah.
I know.
He's just like, but he's watching the Empire fall, but he's so put together. And then him and Krennic have their one scene where he's like, Leo, I can't save you. And then that last scene of him listening to the
was
manifesto.
brutal. That was so
When he just
brutal.
like barely whispers, he's like, it's spreading, or like it's everywhere, isn't it? And you can hear the defeat of the Empire in one line. That guy, and he's just an imperial. He's just a dude.
I know.
And I'm like,
And-
I was captivated every moment he was on screen. I couldn't look away.
I saw something online too that was talking about the choice to use the underling. I can't remember what that guy's name was. The bald guy, like whatever that guy's name was.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
The choice to use that guy to be the one, like to kind of like, you know, he like waved at the troopers when the gun went off and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, he knew
like,
exactly what when he's like, I need a moment to collect my thoughts. He's like, I know
to
what's gonna happen.
that be the guy, like to kind of have. I saw this online that was kind of describing this. Like he has like almost like a moment of empathy. Like, is he one of the only ISB officers to like show a real true moment of empathy, like for his boss, who was frankly an asshole to him every scene that they have together. Like he treats him like shit. Partagas does, like the whole show. Like he's constantly belittling him. He's constantly acting like he's an idiot, and the guy just kind of like looks sort of crestfallen the whole time he's in the show. For that to be the guy that like quietly lets him shoot himself in the head, like outside the door, it's just like that is such a heavy moment, honestly. Like,
it was, and in fact, because I think he knew. Like, right, like this is every person that slightly fails the Empire at that level, you're going to an Arcana. Like, so he let him have it. So performances.
There were some subtle moments about the difference between the ISB and Imperial Intelligence and also the military intelligence. Have you guys seen any of this commentary online?
Oh yeah,
That's
like
very interesting.
Also very. I mean, Tony Gilroy says he's always writing from history, right? I mean, it's Hitler's secret police. Like it is.
I'm talking about in canon. In canon, there's a separate. No. Yeah, I don't think like there's a moment here where they reference it. He says something about our friends over in military intelligence. Like there was a line that said that. Do you guys remember that?
Totally something about that bit.
Something we have to stay ahead of our friends over military intelligence. And I saw this explained online in canon, definitely in Legends. I think it's in canon. In canon, there's two military intelligence agencies or two intelligence agencies in the Empire. There is the Imperial Security Bureau, which is like internal intelligence, and there's military intelligence, which is like foreign intelligence. It's the FBI and the CIA. Like that's the contrast, right?
This makes more sense now. Yes,
and they reference it in the show, and that's what they're talking about. And this is like in the Star Wars storytelling, like the power sort of shifted to military intelligence because of all this shit that happened with the Death Star, basically.
Wow. Like, it's so smart. It's so smart.
I know.
It's smart.
I'm just imagining Gilroy. Like, it's hard to imagine Tony Gilroy doing like Star Wars research, frankly.
Yeah.
Like,
but he clearly did. I mean, he admitted
he knows more about
more than he does, but he knows more.
Somehow I just don't know I don't know how he did it. Like,
he did his job. You know, he did his work, and like, and we all did. We all benefited from it. So let me ask you this, Ben. This will be maybe a two-parter here. So we got our performances we love that are bringing out all these facts, that are bringing out all these amazing parts of the show. If you have a favorite character that's different than the performance, who are they? Just purely based on the character, and then also, what's your favorite episode? Let's say the series. I'll open them to season 1 and 2. I'll do the whole shebang. Favorite episode. But yeah, start off. We'll do the same. Corey, I'll start with you. Who's your favorite character if it's different than Luthen?
Honestly, my favorite standout character right now from the entire show was Krennic. Honestly,
Krennic.
Listen, I have always loved Krennic. I've always loved Krennic. Coming out of Rogue One, I was like, I think Krennic is my favorite. Like one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time. That's one of the only characters that I've ever looked at. I mean, like I kind of want to cosplay as Krennic. Like, I love him, and I honestly,
you're so on brand as being Krennic.
I know, I know, I am.
LA 2027, baby.
It's perfect. I know. I honestly think that Krennic was better in this show than he was in Rogue One, and he's like a main character in Rogue One.
It's not close. Yeah, he's great in Rogue One, but
he was just like
incredible.
he was on a new one.
Yes,
like he was scared. He was scary in this show.
Yes.
The way he spoke to Dedra and was like, "Do you think I'm down here for this? Tell me what I want to know."
Disgusting basement for this. I know.
Yeah. Who else knows? And when he put his finger on her head, I mean, I know.
That was also improv. In the moment,
Ben Mendelsohn's a freak. I love him.
Freak. I know.
He's such a freak.
That was also improv. I liked Krennic in Andor so much that as soon as I finished Andor, I immediately downloaded the audiobook for Catalyst, and I'm like 5 or 6 chapters into Catalyst right now and listening to it, and it's like basically about Krennic, and yeah, I loved him.
All right, very solid. And then favorite episode.
Oh, favorite episode. Oh man, that's a hard one. Man, I would have to like look at the episode. All the arcs run together. That's the problem. Like with the 3-episode arc.
I would say the Golden Master.
It's not fair. You tell us. It's not fair. You tell us. Be definitive.
Be definitive. I mean, if I had to pick a single. No, they don't.
I'm only saying that because I know which one I want. Because if I didn't know which one I liked, I wouldn't have said this at all.
that's fair. I mean, I think the Gorman Massacre episode is
Episode 8.
is-
Yeah.
yeah, is
Yeah.
pretty just
It's deep.
pretty nuts, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Wes. Favorite character if it's different than your performance.
Okay. My favorite character is Clea. I loved her for being like the person that
Good
cleans
choice.
up everything.
Yo.
She was a badass in the hospital scene. And what was that? Was that episode 8?
Episode 10.
10. I'm
Was
sorry.
the
Yeah.
At the
Yeah.
Lena So Hospital,
Yeah.
by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was a good
I
reference.
didn't even
yeah.
catch that.
It was an emblem on the building, and
Yeah.
people on the internet, called it out.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Yeah, but even before that episode, she was the one that was keeping Luthen in line whenever he would kind of steer off a little bit. And
Oh,
she was
yeah.
always the one that was like, she was keeping the other rebels in line. This is the plan that we're going, and we're going to go with that. I don't care what your feelings are like. This is how it's going to be. And she was wonderful like that. I also loved to shoot down the rumors that she was Leia in some of these that I saw online. And I was like, no, it's
Media literacy. is
why
dead.
would they like? I know. I was like, why
Yes.
would Leia be
Yeah.
named Clea? It's like it's too
also,
easy.
also her first ever filmed acting role, right out of drama school.
Yeah, it's
No
freaking
kidding?
Nuts.
Yep. never on film before.
Oh my gosh!
No.
And I couldn't help not pick her because of how she pushed around that elderly alien throughout to get access to different floors. That was
funny, dude.
fantastic. That was a great comedic break there for a little bit. But yeah, Clea. I think Clea is my favorite
Right.
character of all.
Great choice. Great
one.
choice. And then favorite episode. What do you said you knew it?
Yeah, favorite episode is the One Way Out episode where they just break out of the prison and they just jump out.
Sensational.
Yeah. I don't know how to swim. I saw like a short YouTube video of like why Tony Gilroy didn't make a definitive answer of Andy Serkis like actually say like they didn't go out and just say that he died. They're like,
Yeah.
you need to have that void in your heart to know that the gut instinct is correct. That's all you need to know. Your gut instinct is
Wow.
right. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
my favorite one for sure.
And they were like, they're like, why didn't you bring him back? He's like, we couldn't tap what we did.
yeah.
Are you kidding? And I'm like, cool, you admit. I love when he's like, no, we work really great. Not gonna get better. I will say then my favorite character, I'll give two because one's a little chalky and a little basic, but earnestly is true, is Cassian. I mean, just
Yeah,
straight
he's so
up,
good.
he.
Yeah,
Couldn't believe
let's
it.
be honest. That's
I
too
mean,
easy.
yeah,
That's the first one
like,
for everybody.
That's the easy
Let's
one.
do-
Yep.
So then my second one though, I'm gonna say Bix. I thought
Yep.
season 2 Bix, the journey she went on. I mean, I have been hyped in my life for many things in Star Wars. Her putting the headset on Gorst and walking out and doing that bomb,
was-
like I was like, I will run through many walls.
I know, that was
for
sick.
her, and yeah, she was just tremendous, fighting back through her despair to become fully functional, and then her sacrifice,
know.
that final scene, just
And they didn't drag it out. You know how much I
No.
appreciated that? Like,
yeah.
in modern TV, I feel like there's this like it's almost like torture porn, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like they have something terrible happen, and they just linger on it forever for the psychological effect for the viewer. And I really hate that about TV with like something traumatic happening, they just leave it forever. Like they do this in like White Lotus, they do it in HBO shows. Like
Yeah.
it's I hate that crap. I like that we understand that she
There
had
it
a
is.
horrific experience happen. She got her payback and we can move on. Like I just appreciate that. Like it
Yeah.
satisfied that justice for me. And I'm just like, all right, let's not let this define the character. Let's not let this be the women in refrigerators type of
Nope.
thing. You know what I mean? Where
She's got her own story.
her suffering serves the purpose of Cassian's arc. Let's just not do that. All right. Let her have her own agency, like tell the story for her, and then let's move on. And she can be one of the heroes just like Cassian is. And I just appreciated that a lot.
Yep.
It was a fast scene too, dude. That whole scene is like
Oh
3
yeah.
minutes.
Yeah, it was
Oh, yeah.
quick. Yeah.
But no, absolutely sensational. So love her. I both want to know more about it, but I also got exactly what I needed. And please don't ruin the story with crappy dialogue in the future.
Yeah.
Favorite episode though, I'm also gonna be basic, but hey, I gotta be honest. Same as Corey, episode 8. That Gorman,
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. I don't think I'm ever gonna see anything like it ever again. I don't need to see anything like it. That was really horrific, honestly. But I loved that it didn't pull any punches. It showed the Empire started its own massacre to do its own horrific deeds. It showed us the people going down. It was
long.
It was long.
There was tension.
They didn't
like,
let
it
us
had
off
a
the hook.
good amount of build up, and it carried on too for a long time.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot of genocide. It was a lot.
Yeah, unprovoked
Like,
genocide. And that
there
second
was a lot
episode
of
after like
genocide.
is right there with again. It is like you said, Corey. There are one giant episode, like one giant movie, and that all throughout Mon's speech through Bale telling her to tear the shit out of this place. I mean, just
it was good stuff.
unbelievable.
The end of
stuff,
that episode was when we found out how Cassian acquired K2SO too, right? So, like that was a damn good episode.
They hit him with a car and then took him back. That was about it.
I saw him like load the body up, and I was like, his chest is just crushed in, and so I was like looking online. I was like, is his chest crushed in Rogue One? And it's not. And I was like, oh, I guess they could have popped it out.
They fix that, yeah. So you got a dent in your car, and they just like give it a little thing.
Exactly.
So we've already said how much this has kind of changed Star Wars for us and for a lot of folks. I think there are people that have been going back and forth in the discourse about like, now what are the tier lists on? Now, like, oh, does it maybe retroactively think about Star Wars differently? I think that's an earnest conversation that we kind of had last week. But I'm more so interested in just a really basic strategy question for you guys. Going forward, we know we have like Ahsoka Season 2, but that's the only live action show we know we got. We know we got the Maul show coming up, and then we have the movies like Starfighter, Mandalorian, and Grogu, all of which I'm going to go out on a limb and say are going to be less intense, less horrifying than the fascism of Andor. And they're just going to be different ways of storytelling. It's going to be more classic adventure. How will you personally watch these differently so you're not constantly comparing it to Andor and putting it in your list? Because I think all of us agree that would be really hard.
Wes is actually not going to watch anymore.
Wes is done watching Star Wars.
Yeah, this is my Star Wars ultimatum or my Star Wars ceiling.
Exactly.
That's it.
All right, well, we'll tell you how it goes.
You know how in Friends, like Phoebe's mom like wouldn't let her watch the end of Old Yeller. She would just turn it off. Like
that's this
like, before the movie. This is Wes. Wes is like,
what are you trying to say?
What are you talking about? What other Star Wars shows? I don't think there are anymore.
That's it.
They haven't made any more. Actually, they retired it. I think earnestly Andor has sort of set a gold standard for like not even just like Star Wars, but like just TV in a lot of ways for a lot of reasons, like the structure, the storytelling, the writing. But like, I honestly feel initially I kind of felt like what I think a lot of people are guilty of right now, which is that nothing's ever going to be as good as Andor and I can't enjoy it. And I admit that I first kind of initially felt like that, I think, just because this show makes like a show like The Mandalorian, which is campy and goofy, like feel lesser in some ways if you have that sort of lens and mindset about it. But by setting such a perfect gold standard, it's almost allowed me to categorize and compartmentalize what Star Wars actually is and can be, because I think we watch a movie like the Rise of Skywalker or a show like The Mandalorian, and in our hearts we want it to be Andor, and it like never lives up to that when we watch it, and it sort of hurts the show, I think, right? Because you're critical about the writing, you're critical about the dialogue, and some of that criticism is fair, but like now that we have like a category of show that is like almost so perfect, I think it's going to allow me to watch a show like The Mandalorian and understand that it is just campy. And that is what the show is. Like it's almost like that's George Lucas Star Wars in some way. And this is Tony Gilroy Star Wars in some way, right?
Yeah.
It's such a dramatic contrast that it's not that nothing will ever be as good as Andor. It's that nothing is going to be like Andor again.
Yeah.
Like
it's
a
not
different
even worth
category.
comparison. Like don't say my car doesn't go fast enough. Why can't I drive my house? Like in a way, like they serve different creative purposes altogether. And I think that what I will look ahead on, and what Andor will inspire with me more specifically, I will look to see, hey, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are making Mandalorian and Grogu. Did they put everything they have in their style of creativity into this at a 10 out of 10? And if they did, great. I just want that level of care and that level of thought. Like, did the cinematographer make these action sequences as fun and as epic as they possibly could? If they're doing a oneer inside an AT-AT and the Mandalorian's got his little guns out, did I have as much fun as possible based on the skill of the creators? Then yes, awesome. Like, you don't need to have a solid shot looking into a dark apartment where they talk about, like, I don't know if I can make it through another day. I don't want Mandalorian to say that. That's not how he is.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I see the creators to give as much thought as Tony Gilroy and the directors and everyone clearly gave to Andor.
Yeah, that's a great point. And Andor was very clearly a very adult show. And the stormtroopers in this show, like it crossed my mind when I was watching, and I was like, now they actually look sinister as they should. They don't look like jokes, right? They're out there aiming and killing people on point. They're not just like, the blaster bolts going everywhere and not shooting anybody. Yeah. But this is a very adult show, and I'll take away that this was a very adult show. The themes and the stories were very adult. There was suicide in this. There was a rape scene or attempted rape scene. There's very adult concepts, and I appreciate that because we haven't had that, I don't think, in any of these Star Wars shows really ever.
Ever.
So I also would appreciate that they don't do this concept for any other show coming up, like an episode arc up to a movie, right? Like, you want to know how this movie got to where it was, watch this show, and it's going to, they will have these 3 episode arcs, and you're going to get to where it's at, because Andor was so good at it. All you're going to do is, I think, for me anyways, I'm going to compare it to Andor. It's like, well, Andor did so much better, or they'd missed this part that Andor did that they should have. But if they do it, I don't want them to do it soon. I don't want them to do it in Ahsoka. I think Ahsoka should have their map that they were going to do already. I think anything that they would do a 3 episode arc with that leads up to something needs to be a completely new concept. But it does, like you said, I want it to be bookended. I don't want it to be open-ended.
Have your complete story.
Exactly. And I think they see that. I think they see the ratings. I think they see the community behind them. They see the outpouring of great performances from the actors themselves. So they're just like, you know what? I think we got something here. Let's build off of it. Let's use this.
I genuinely have never seen so much commentary on a show before. Like,
right.
On Reddit, literally every single subreddit, every single Star Wars subreddit is just like, my feed is just constantly full of, it is variety. I look at the name of the subreddit, I'm like surprised. I'm like, it's Star Wars EU, it's Star Wars books, Star Wars comics, like Star Wars, the general subreddit. Even something like more toxic subreddits are like saltier than Crate. Is there some genuinely rich discussion on some of those about it's like a really toxic subreddit. There's genuinely earnest conversations from fans that are just like this show is amazing, and like it has created a new standard for what Star Wars can be, and it was rich, and there's nuance in the discussion. Like, people are like, no, Cyril was this way. No, I thought Cyril was this way. Like, there's nuance in it. And like, I've just never seen so much commentary before. And that's great for the fandom. It's great for the IP. Like,
yes.
I hope that that's all it is.
I hope that these freaking executives don't just look at the numbers and like write it off as whatever they write it off as. Like, it's just been a flawless execution.
Yeah, there's like maybe rewrites aren't a good idea. Like, maybe we should think about that.
Do you guys think we will ever have another experience like this with Star Wars as an intellectual property?
Not soon.
Like this, no. Because I feel similar to this a little bit the way I did about Endgame, where I didn't think it was possible, and they did it. And I think there might be something similar to this. Like, the quality might be similar. Like, we might get really, really great stuff. But this is the first time they've ever tried it, and it was the best thing that's ever happened to me in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I can't replicate that. I might have a new best thing. Like, if Starfighter comes out and it's the most fun, off-the-wall, amazing fighter pilot movie, I might feel euphoric. Absolutely. I might read a book that just kind of changed my life. But this show with these creators...
It really just had all the perfect variables. I mean,
Yeah.
I think being connected to the original trilogy has a level of nostalgia to it that everybody has. You ever think about
Yep.
that? Like
Oh yeah.
everybody has original trilogy nostalgia. Like
Absolutely.
it
It's
doesn't
why
matter.
Lincoln
It
and
doesn't.
Leia are still the most famous.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
it's
Like
okay.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's connected to that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever get this again.
Unbelievable.
This experience of watching something like this again. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just been. I've never walked away from a Star Wars book or a show or a movie or anything feeling so like solemn and melancholy and like I just had a really emotional experience coming away from the show. And you're just like,
Yeah.
I didn't really have a lot to say right after we finished. Like
Yeah, you just
I was just
you
like,
just sit
damn,
there and
that
watch
was
the credits
just
like and also the fact that the last credits went from the Andor music into the main theme of
it
Star
did go
Wars.
to the
But
main theme. Yeah,
it's music again, they're thinking through the credits. Like we're gonna welcome
it's
them into the
rich.
Star Wars like Skywalker saga in the credits. And I'm just like I sat there. I'm like, oh, I didn't not because there were gonna be end credits, but because I just was like you said, Corey, I was taking in the weight of what had just happened. It's like that first time that I saw Force Awakens. I guess it's honestly the closest thing I can get to it, where I was like, my life is different now. Like going forward, this is now a different existence than I
Yeah.
had, and that's what I feel about Andor. Ugh.
Do you
And it's on
think?
Disney Plus.
Yeah. Do you
So
think
go check it
they?
out.
I don't see why not. But I'm saying, do you think they put this in on the big screen for like a lead up to
For
May the
next
4th or
year,
something next
Rogue-
year?
Rogue One 10-year anniversary next year. That's not what I'm betting. They did it at
Ooh.
Skywalker Ranch or Lucasfilm just recently. A couple of our friends, Friends of the Force, Resistance Broadcast, Sky Talkers, all got invited to go to Lucasfilm to go watch that. So it is formatted
Okay.
for big screen, which is the finale of this and Rogue One, which is like a 3-hour movie. Maybe I'm just being me, right? I think that's
Yeah.
coming next year. I think it'll be like a 1
That'd be
week.
cool.
Revenge of the Sith just broke all the records for re-releases in 2 weeks,
It
right?
did. Yeah, it did
Zero
actually.
reason
Yeah.
not to put Rogue One with the finale of Andor in it on the big screen. I'll see it 4 times. I don't know. Like, absolutely.
Yeah, I will too. Absolutely. That's a
kidding?
good question. Another question, kind of looking towards the future, is do you think that Andor will have an effect on the creation of projects going forward? Because before Celebration, I know we haven't talked about this since I've been back from Celebration either. Before Celebration, we kind of talked about, like, my theory was that we're either going to feel like at Celebration suddenly they're going to unveil the plan and we're going to feel like, wow, this is a big plan, they put a lot of effort into it,
Yeah.
or we're going to feel like they're literally like dangling off a cliff and have no idea what's coming next. And I think after Celebration, I feel like actually the latter now. Like, we don't really have a clear picture of what's coming next. I don't feel like I feel like there's projects on the horizon, but there isn't like a cohesive story that they want to tell. They haven't figured it out yet. And I do wonder if there are lessons that the creators will take away from Andor in any way. Like, there's never been a project received like this before with such universal acclaim.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody has to look at this and be like, all right, wow, this really worked. Like, this has the potential to make a lot of money. Like, how do we
Right.
replicate this experience in the future? Like, do you genuinely think that this is going to change anything? Like that we had this experience, or are we just going to continue on the trajectory that we have been, which is a little all over the place, if that makes sense?
Here's what I think about it, and it's based on what Tony Gilroy said about Kathleen Kennedy. He talked a lot about Kathleen Kennedy on the press tour. He was very complimentary and basically said, Kathy let me do anything I wanted. We never got any notes. We were supported all the way. I said, I want the show to start in a brothel, and he shoots 2 cops, and we go from there. And she's like, great, that sounds good. And he's like, cool. It's not 5 seasons anymore. It's 2 seasons, and we need the same budget as it for season 1. And she said, great. And I think that here's the thing. I think that if it changes anything, it changes the level of creator that they hire, or the level of pitch you need to have. I think that it's less, we're going to figure something out and hire someone to do it. It becomes those early meetings maybe take a little more work, and you have to have a little bit more forethought before we say yes. Because I think that
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I believe
but also
that. I
not
don't know.
5 years down the line, because also all the projects now, Corey, for the next 5 years are already set. Like,
I know they are.
so if
yeah.
this changes, we won't know for 10 years. You
I
know what I mean?
For a long time.
And I'm not a big fan of like the the bookended timelines that they have to create these movies and stories and stuff. Like, allow them to push the deadline out or whatever, like video games have started to do, and people.
Okay, that's changing. I agree. I think that's gonna change.
Okay.
Like we're already seeing that with Sean Levy. Like he's been working on Starfighter for a couple of years. It's coming this is a longer development process than even Ren Skywalker was.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
I would appreciate
let it
that.
breathe.
Yeah. To give some people time to
Yeah.
fill in some holes and not have those holes filled in as you're like filming or as you're like casting or something like that.
Absolutely, but we'll see.
Yeah,
By
I
the
don't
way,
know.
I'm so. It's so weird because, like you said, I'm in this mode where I'm so content. I'm so solemn. I'm so excited. Yet I also don't need to see anything. Like it is a weird moment where I'm sure in a month, because like tomorrow there's no Andor. In a month there's no Star Wars. In 2 months, like we're gonna get to a point where there's now no new Star Wars for like 3 months, which is so. Our past selves would punch us in the face.
I know.
For being like, oh, 3 months for Star
I
Wars. But it's a while now. Honestly, I think Ahsoka season 2 is the next live action show, and then the Maul series. So we have quite a bit. So it'll eventually hit me where I'm like, okay, let's maybe amp up these lines. Let's maybe I don't care. Let's get something out. But for right now,
I do feel like Andor is truly gonna leave like it's gonna leave me with like a longing, I think, for this experience again. And I just don't know if a yearning. Yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know. The children yearn for the minds. I just don't know if we're ever gonna get it again. I don't know if they'll take away the right lessons. I agree, Eric, that like I think this project was successful because of Kathy, and Gilroy gives her that credit, and everybody has said that. It's not just Gilroy has said that Kathy was like the biggest. Like there were people that the producers wanted to step in and mess with the show, and Kathy basically told them to F off. And
do you know who I am? Absolutely not.
Yeah, really. And like I just don't know that can be replicated again. Like a level of trust between the one who controls the keys to the castle and a singular creator. I just don't know if that trust exists anymore. I mean, I don't even think that Filoni has that level of trust, or Favreau certainly doesn't.
Also, like Gilroy, his brother was the second half of his writing team, and his other brother was an editor. So like their family made
I know.
Just so many people that knew each other.
It shouldn't work. It shouldn't have worked. Like when somebody vouches so hard for an individual, it shouldn't work. And that's why I'm like, I just don't know that that perfect storm can ever be replicated again.
And also, maybe it doesn't have to. Maybe that's why there are perfect storms. You know, maybe that's why we're like, you know what, this is we can live a life where this is the best moment, and that's okay.
Yeah,
most people, their best moments of their lives aren't the last days, right? So like,
the lessons that I would like to see walked away from this are the episode structure and arc formats, the adult nature of the show. I think the show has proved that you can have a truly adult audience that you probably shouldn't show your kids necessarily. And it can work, and there can be an audience for it, and it can still make money and make Disney Plus money and that sort of thing. And really rich, heavy, prestige TV dialogue, with virtually zero exposition. I think there's 3 lessons I really want them to take away from the show that I would like to see tried replicated in the future is arcs and format, really rich writing for adults. Like if they can do that again in some way, even if it's not as good as Andor, I think I would be really stoked to see that in any format, any story in Star Wars. I don't care what story they tell, but if they try to take those formulaic elements, then that would be incredible.
This is the most I've ever seen anyone trust an audience on a HBO show, at a non-prestige whatever drama, where they're like, we're gonna say a lot to you. There's gonna be a lot of subtext. It's going to be very deep, but we're trust that you're going to follow along because you're not on your phone. You know, you're actually paying attention. And I think that's I heard a writer who at one point said they were in a meeting with Netflix over a movie. This is all anecdotal. I forgot who it was.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen this interview.
Yeah, they said, when you're writing, the characters need to reference their own names a lot because we know that people are on their phones while watching our movies, so you need to make sure they know who's talking and repeat that a lot.
No.
And that's how they made their movie. And I think Andor was people are watching the film and we're telling the story, and that's it. Baseline. And I think Star Wars needs to trust that their audience doesn't need to be talked down to. We don't. Cameos are fun. This is not a non-cameo show. Bail Organa's in the show. I screamed. Of course I did. But that's not all that needs to happen. We can actually have dialogue that is impactful. We can acknowledge the reality of a Star Wars like plot line. Bad Batch did this,
I know.
So I think that's that trust. Even if it's not dark, it's still trust that your audience is paying attention.
Right. Andor feels more like The Last of Us, whereas like The Mandalorian is more like Fortnite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
like
as it went on, it started out with a lot more trust.
I know it did. It did, but then
God, we're so old already. Back in my day, Mandalorian used to be.
I know. But then it really has become like the epitome of like something else. It's almost like I really do.
Luke, everyone loves Luke.
I
Okay,
know,
how do we replicate
I
that
know.
feeling? It's like, no, that was a great moment.
And freaking Grogu, Baby Yoda. I really feel like Star Wars has like two paths in front of it right now. Like it has a path where we do really cool artistic storytelling with Andor, and we have the path for profits and generalized audience like acceptance, and that's Mandalorian. That really feels like the two paths. And I know deep in my heart which path they're gonna freaking choose, and that makes me a little unhappy and
they
sad.
Can't combine them, and it's not a
they can combine them.
Never put cute animals in or ignore growth. Like it's not a hatred on a character.
I know.
Just treat it with respect and treat it with people that are really, really good. Which again, Dawn of the Jedi, James Mangold, who did Ford vs Ferrari and just had a bunch of Oscar nominations. He's at Beau Willimon from One Way Out, Wes's favorite episode, is doing that script. Like there are things in the works with people that are really, really good. And if Kathy's the wall, I feel good.
She can't retire. She can't freaking leave.
She can die in that chair. She can die in that chair.
Yeah.
Oh man, so that's our first story of the night. Andor.
57 minutes
buddy.
In.
All right, here's what
Thank you for letting me talk about Andor on the show because I haven't been on the show for like weeks because of Japan and Celebration, and then my job, and then it's literally been chaos. I was like kind of sad that I was not going to get to talk about Andor at all, and like we got to talk about it for an hour, and that makes me really happy. So thank you guys.
It's the best.
For doing that,
dude. It is our favorite thing to do, and it's the last time we get to do it, which is a lie. We're talking about Andor. Every week there aren't enough stories, but we're going to go real quick through our last three here because it still was a very good week. And everybody, next up, we're going to take a journey over to the fantastic world of Star Wars publishing because we got an incredible cover reveal this week for one of our most anticipated books of the year, Kwame Mbalia's Star Wars The Last Order, which is set for release this October. And this week we got to look at the cover featuring Finn and Janna in a brand new style. Now, before we look at the details of it, guys, what do we think of this cover just from an artistic point of view? I'm going to break the magic a little bit because, Corey, you commented on this in Slack of how cool this cover was. What'd you think?
It does. Yeah, the cover looks good. It looks like a nonfiction cover, I think.
Ooh, yeah, I totally
get that. Do you get that vibe? Like, it looks like a historical fiction, a historical nonfiction book. Like,
it's not just Photoshop thing where you take out the background and put a filter on it, like some of the more recent covers.
It's not. It's an interesting cover, and the first thing that stands out when you look at this cover is the author's name is enormous, which is
same size
a choice.
As the title, and the Star Wars logo is smaller. And I'm like,
I was so confused when I saw this. That's another reason I thought it was a nonfiction book because I was like, is this one of those like books that's sort of about Star Wars, but doesn't actually use any of the IP, so it's like a loud type of book. You know what I'm talking about? Like, there's a couple of them.
Yeah, but straight up fiction, man.
You know, this is just a normal canon Star Wars book. And if you put it next to the other books, you would not really believe that it's true.
Yeah, but yeah, I love it. I think it's a really cool, like, sketchy artistic version of it. Obviously, Finn and Janna on the cover, if you haven't seen it, are in their stormtrooper armor without their helmets, kind of showing their past as stormtroopers. And there was an accompanying interview by Collider. Our friend Maggie over there talked to the author, and he seems very stoked about this. My favorite thing that he talked about it was that he apparently originally just tweeted out the idea about the story, and he would tweet out story ideas. And after a year, his agent emailed him, and he's like, take that tweet down. Okay, that is a free idea, and I know you want to write it. And then Star Wars actually came to him and asked him for a pitch. He's like, oh, I got one. And he had to, like, delete the tweet to make sure that he didn't get in trouble for someone stealing it. But he's wanted to write this one for years. It's all about Finn and Janna, like, saving some kids and then dealing with the trials of their old stormtrooper lives. It just seems really cool. And he also teased that the flowers on the cover, because they are surrounded by these flowers, are apparently integral to the story in some way. So I guess very basically, don't judge a book by its cover is garbage. We always do. That's why I buy books. Sorry.
I know.
I think this bodes very well. I've been kind
It
of
does bode
tired
very
of
well.
the less inspired book covers, which are just character, random background.
I
This
know.
is so artistically done
It
and
looks
very
good.
unique.
Also, the
So-
story sounds interesting. It's about freaking Finn, and I hope that we walk away from this being like, man, I hope John Boyega is in another movie again. I hope we walk away from that experience like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Did you see that?
'cause it could
Was it C2E2 or something recently, or other Comic Con where someone asked him about Raylo, and he's like, no, absolutely not.
really?
Yeah, he's like,
he
like,
is
"Girls,
weirdly
if a
talking
man's-
about. He's weirdly talking about Star Wars like a lot more
He
than he
is.
has in the last like 5 years. Like suddenly
really
he's talking
owns
about
it.
it a lot more, which I don't know. I feel like he's tweeting about Star Wars frequently. It seems like, and it's like,
which could be good and it could
Wha-
be.
wha-
Yay,
why
I
are you
can't
doing
wait
that,
to get
John?
back.
Why are you doing that? What are you up to?
Maybe he's healing a little bit. Maybe he's
Yeah,
healing.
maybe he's
Maybe
like,
he
I got
is.
nothing to lose.
Maybe so.
Nah, but very excited for him. And Janna, again, we basically know Janna in that movie, and I think she got a really great start of a character. So I'm excited to see the two of them finally actually get some time, not just to ride those cool space horses, but to deal with, those fun things we're talking about with Andor. Past trauma. Are we ever going to be
Yeah.
able to escape our past? Who are we really? Are we just a number? Like the light stuff. I think that'll be
Yeah,
really
the light stuff. This is like the definition of expanded universe. You have characters in films that didn't have a lot of story, and we're getting a story. That's like literally every story I want. Every time
Yep.
they release a book, just take a thing that's in a background and give me a book about it, and I will read the shit out of that. So
Yeah.
Yep. And it'll come out October 21st, the day before my birthday. Funny enough. So I know what I'll be doing. I'll hopefully reading it early.
Okay,
but
weird
we'll see.
thought I just had. This looks like a
Hit.
paperback cover, actually.
It absolutely does. I feel that it's paperback in my hands as I look
I
at
do
it.
too. It feels small too, actually. The book feels short looking at
Yeah.
the cover. That's
Okay,
weird.
That's
weird.
I can't say why. It's a JPEG, but it absolutely does feel like that.
It's,
so we'll see.
it feels
if
like
they,
a short little thin book. That's
Yeah.
what it feels like almost like a junior reader book, but it's
No,
not. This is an
sorry,
adult
Corey,
novel,
it's
right?
a Finn book. It's not a thin book. It's a Finn.
Oh, it's a Finn book.
Finn
The Finn
book.
book,
Yeah,
actually.
the Finn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I don't. Oh no! Whoa. It's 464 pages. It
Oh
is
shit,
not
that's a
thin book.
that's a big boy. What
Oh
the
my
heck?
God.
Wow, that's long for a Star Wars
Yeah,
book, isn't
really
it?
long book. All right, live on the show, we just realized that.
What
that's a
the
long
hell is
book.
this book about? That's like a lot of storytelling. Watch this book like have all of the backstory of Finn. Actually, like this
Yeah.
is like literally everything we could possibly want to know about Finn. Like also, it's told in the form of a flashback because in the book Finn is like a full Jedi Master in the in the book. And it also explains how Rey's temple was built. It explains how he has the Force. It explains how he became a Jedi, and it's told from that angle. And it also has his little stormtrooper story. Also,
See, now we're talking.
now we're talking.
I like it. Yeah, October. Okay, we got 5 months till that book comes out. But great cover. And if you want to go check out Kwame Ambalia's Instagram, he did put up his picture of. He bought shoes. There they are, Wes, that matched the colors of the cover. He said he used to do this thing that was like covers and kicks. Used to be this initiative thing that he would do. He'd always buy shoes based on these certain book covers. So he did a little photo shoot with a Stormtrooper helmet and his new shoes. And if I was an author, this is exactly the kind of stuff I would do. So much love to him having some.
It does look like something you would
fun.
wear, actually, Eric. These shoes do.
I unfortunately bought my first pair of Nikes while Corey was off the show, and it's a dark road. I'm married now, so I have all this money.
I don't know what he's talking about though, actually, because those shoes definitely don't match this cover. But we'll just give it to him. We'll just give it to him.
We'll give it a little slide.
Like red Jordans is what would go with this
Yeah.
cover. That's like it's like Rogue One colors, like green and red.
It
And
is a bit rogue.
Anyway,
maybe with the
anyway.
flowers or something, but we're excited
Also,
for your book and your shoes.
one more random thought. I don't know why this wasn't announced at Celebration either. That's crazy. We're like 2 weeks out of Celebration, and
The celebration
here we are.
announcements made no sense to me.
It just it's all over the place. Truly.
Andor. It's because of Andor. Everything's because of Andor now.
Yep.
But
It broke our
next
brains.
up, guys, we could not. I know we're running long, and thank y'all for hanging out with us. We could not get out of this week without talking about one of the weirdest stories we've ever had on the show. Because last week, Fortnite updated its current Star Wars season to include Darth Vader. Now, that may not sound odd on the outside, But this Darth Vader was actually fully integrated with conversational AI that allowed players to have actual talks with the James Earl Jones voiced Vader in-game. As you might guess, it took less than an hour before players tricked the program into spouting profanity and slurs. But before we get into that and the lawsuit, fellas, what was your initial reaction when you heard that there was an AI Vader in Fortnite?
Listen, I'm like pretty. I mean, you guys know this about me because we talk about stuff behind the scenes, and I use AI like on a daily basis, both for my medical work and like some of that sort of AI things, and also for other things like with managing teams, all kinds of stuff. I use AI all the time, right? And like my initial reaction to this, even me, who's like pretty pro AI, was like, "This is kind of a disgusting use of AI." Like, it feels icky and gross, man. I just don't love it. I know one day, like, conversational AI will be there, and language models are getting really impressive, and like, but James Earl Jones is dead, and it's Darth Vader, the most iconic villain of all time, and it's Fortnite. It's just like the perfect storm of gross altogether.
And he said anything like you could. Full transparency, I did play a match and hired the AI and like found it, and I had a conversation with it. It was very reactive. It was very weird because it does respond to what you say. There were apparently some safeguards in place that streamers, of course, just got around in it, but because you can get as conspiracy tinfoil hat as you want here. Oh, the streamers found ways to make it swear, and they put the clips online immediately, and then the Fortnite numbers spiked as everyone tried to find out about, like...
Oh, weird. Wasn't...
Who knows? But, two things. One, Fortnite said they got permission from his family and his estate to say that James Earl Jones wanted the voice to go on and, like, really wanted Darth Vader to be shared. But today, I had to update the article on our site, because before recording today... SAG-AFTRA, the actors' union, has filed an unfair labor practice charge against Epic Games for its use of AI for Darth Vader's voice, saying Fortnite's signatory company chose to replace the work of human performers with AI technology. Unfortunately, they did so without providing any notice of their intent to do this and without bargaining with us over appropriate terms. Now, that's a lot of slightly legally speak for saying James Earl Jones as Vader was a union production. It was a SAG-AFTRA union, like, sanctioned production. All the actors went on strike last year, you might remember, over AI protections. Video game actors actually currently on strike against AI protections. And apparently, Epic just didn't tell the union that they were going to do this. And part of the AI protections the actors fought for was the ability to bargain in favor of their clients and possibly in order to get their clients to get this paying work. Now, obviously, that just happened today. We have no other use or no other updates. But the fact that this came out, within an hour, there were racial slurs and profanities, clips gone all over.
Of course.
And then within like 5 days now, they're being basically sued by the union of performers. Not a great look.
No.
Not a great look.
I don't like it because every one of Darth Vader's lines, pretty much every one of them, are iconic. They have
that's a good way to put it.
And there's not that many.
If you have conversational Darth Vader who's just like, tells you what he did on the weekend and what he does after work, like I don't want to hear
how many beers he butt chugged with stormtroopers yesterday. Yeah, it's a little weird, Wes. You're right. It is.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to hear him say that.
I know. You're like, I also don't.
How did he get around that suit?
It feels terrible. Like, it's just gamers.
Legality aside,
gamers.
It's not something we need.
Like, gamers are literally the only other fan group that is a little closer to hell than Star Wars fans are, and
Star Wars gamers,
like, exactly. Yeah. So you put a Star Wars AI tool in a game, it's just a recipe for disaster. Like,
yeah, we do not need it.
It's terrible.
It won't end well.
If you look at the pie chart of content of what people have asked it, it's not a good pie chart, I'm sure.
No, don't.
It's not
if you
good.
Annoy him enough, if you annoy the AI enough, it will attack you and say like, "Yeah, I didn't see that clip." And
that's on brand. That's good.
I don't know. We wanted to tell y'all that it happened. If you missed it, we have a little write up on the site. But Star Wars is never boring. Star Wars is never boring, everybody. So that happened.
Sometimes it's stupid and bad.
Sometimes it's
Like,
so
listen, if
stupid and bad.
I like Fortnite, I really enjoy playing Fortnite. I like buying Star Wars skins to play Fortnite with
I bought
Eric
the
and
Jar
our
Jar
friends.
skin. It was
Yes,
great.
it's fun. I enjoy that. I would be really okay, like just putting like an absolute do not touch, do not cross this line on storytelling and characters and things like that being done in Fortnite with Star Wars. Like truly, like if we could just blacklist that, actually, I would be cool with that.
Yeah.
Like we already did the damn Rise of Skywalker thing in
Yep.
Fortnite,
And you
which
missed the Tales of the Underworld talk.
I want to forget.
Surprisingly,
I know.
which that
Right.
went well.
I know I want to forget also.
So-
Whatever. We sound like freaking boomers right now, but
Yeah.
I still
There's got to
just
be a line. There's got to be a line.
Wes is a boomer, so yeah.
That's true. He was there for the big boom that started the world.
Right.
But luckily, everybody, we are going to stay in the gaming space for our final story tonight, because on the not horrifying side of gaming, Star Wars Outlaws, remember that game? Released its final bit of DLC with A Pirate's Fortune this week, starring none other than Hondo Ohnaka. The DLC comes 9 months after the release of the game and about 6 months after the release of the last expansion, Wildcard, that featured Lando Calrissian, and it's going to be the final chapter of content for the release. So let's start very easy with a question that I know. Have you guys played A Pirate's Fortune? And if not, are you planning on picking it up either by buying it or by getting your good old Ubisoft Plus subscription?
No and no. Next question.
All right, Wes?
No and yes. I am dangerously close to getting that recliner love seat in this office right now. So I'm also glad that I can play this all the way through. So
That's a good point, actually.
yeah, I'm glad that they.
Yeah.
I'm not glad that they. This is going to be the last DLC, but I'm glad that there's 3 that I can download at least and have weeks of content to play.
Well,
Wow.
I'll say this. I beat Outlaws as Corey did when it first came out. Had a great time with it. I really love that game. I did download it again this week. I didn't play Wildcard or Pirate's Fortune. I was intentionally waiting. So I beat Claire Obscura Expedition 33, which is one of my favorite games of all time, and it's perfect. And then I downloaded these. I beat Wildcard like, I don't know, an hour before we went on today. And then I started A Pirate's Fortune in like the first cutscene. So I have technically started it. And I will play it through with the Ubisoft Plus, which I absolutely just got to play Assassin's Creed Shadows. I'll be 100% honest, so I'm starting that. I'm glad they're doing it. Again, I had fun with Outlaws. It felt weird to go back to it because I'm not a person that goes back to DLC years after the fact, months after the fact. Like Final Fantasy 16 did this, where they had DLC come out 3 or 4 months afterwards, and I'm like, I finished the game already. I don't really need it. Like, and I guess in a larger sense, Ubisoft seems to realize this because they had a season pass for Assassin's Creed Shadows. They canceled it. That's no longer happening. Do we think that single player DLC story packs like this, is this kind of now a thing of the past? Like, if you're not,
I think so. I'm okay with
like,
that too, actually.
Yeah, me too.
Like,
just have a full
like
game.
more or less. Like,
I don't need
I don't
it.
know. Outlaws was fun. I really enjoyed playing Outlaws. When we were like all playing Outlaws, I was like having a blast. It was really fun. And
Great
like I
moment.
also feel like I've been there, done that now, and I don't want to go back for a little more storytelling that is, to be frank, probably not even that amazing. It's probably okay, but like
It's got Han. It's probably, I heard it's like 2 or 3 hours. It's very short,
Yeah.
which has been the problem with some of these DLCs. The wild card was very short. It's like 3 hours. But it also has Hondo, which is cool. And
Yeah.
here's another question: why is Hondo? He's like Saw Gerrera. Why is he the one that's like, he's in Rebels, he's in Clone Wars, he's in Smuggler's Run, in Disney
in
World.
everything. I
He's
don't
now in
know.
Outlaws. Like, why is he the glue?
He's
dude, I
got
have no
great
idea.
jokes and comebacks to a lot of his dialogue that people
simple?
like just jump at. They're fantastic. It's like I
guess so. He's comedic relief. Is what you're
Yeah,
saying?
comedic relief is
Yeah.
is on par with a lot of the other IPs in Marvel. So I think he's
so.
really good.
He's just funny.
Yeah. He's funny. He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
You can relate to him.
I don't really care about Hondo. Like I don't know why he's in everything either. I'm just like, all right, it's Hondo.
Yeah, he's fun.
All right,
I
now
enjoy him, but
now it's just
like,
both of us. Now
unnecessary.
that Corey is gone,
Well,
so
my camera.
I turned it off
You said
because you don't
Hondo.
care about Hondo. I'll tell you about it. You were trying to fix
I'm like
it.
having technical issues. No, Wes is just censoring me like a communist government.
No.
Yeah, all right.
Oh no, I'm excited to play it. Like I enjoy Hondo fine. And again, I got the Ubisoft Plus, so I didn't really pay anything extra.
I am ready for Battlefront. Give me another Battlefront game.
Dude,
I'm tired of the. Yes.
No, it's never happened. It's never gonna happen. No, it's never gonna happen.
I don't know.
I'll say what's
shooter?
the date? May
I want
19th,
some kind of shooter.
2025. Battlefront 3 is never happening.
We'll call it.
It doesn't have to be
That's fine.
Battlefront.
They'll call it something else.
There's something else. I need an FPS. I know.
Yeah.
Just take Battlefield and reskin it with Star Wars. Just literally that's all you have to do. I don't even care.
Dude.
Like,
Do you guys want to know
just
the
do it.
actual? Do you want to know the what you don't want to hear?
No.
Disney put up $1.5 billion into Fortnite last year. The future of Star Wars multiplayer is its separate island in Fortnite.
I even said it.
It
Fortnite is forever. You're right. We did it.
And they might do a Battlefront like skinned, like you go to this island and it's basically Battlefront. Like I think they might do that, but it's gonna be inside Fortnite. I don't think they put up that much money without doing that.
Yeah, the Fortnite engine. I mean, the first person view of when Fortnite tried their
ballistic.
Yeah,
it's still going.
Yeah, it looks great. I think it looks really good. So
seems fun for people that want to do it. So we'll see. But I'm
sad.
Yeah, I'm excited for more Star Wars gaming though. We got that RTS thing, Zero Company that's coming out. So, but overall, if y'all want to watch that, go ahead and go for it.
Whatever.
Go play Pirates Fortune.
They showcased that at Celebration. I was in that panel, and I was just like, I still don't understand what this game is. I'm not gonna lie. I hate to be a little bit of a Debbie Downer about it because now I better understand it, but like I don't think it looks fun. Like I understand the type of game that it is, but like
not your style of game.
It doesn't look like I'm gonna enjoy playing it. It looks like a game that you're gonna have to like really grind, kind of like that damn Galaxy of Heroes game on mobile.
Oh god.
It feels grindy. Like you have to strategize and like play the same mission 10 different times with 4 different characters to try to get past it because you're supposed to use the right combination of attacks and defense. And I don't think I'm going to enjoy it, honestly, actually. Like, I'll pick it up and I'll play it for a little while, but like, I think it's a game that I want to put like 5 hours in and then never touch again, unfortunately. Like,
yeah, I think I'm going to be somewhere. I'm going to give it a shot and we'll see how I like it. But Jedi 3 is the one that I'm waiting for. I think that's the next
that'll be
big
fun.
game I'm excited
Maybe
about.
I need to go back and finish Jedi 2 if maybe I'll do that if before Jedi 3 comes out.
Once they announce it, give it like the month before it comes out. Go do that.
Yeah,
you know.
You haven't played any of those games, I don't think, have you, Wes?
I haven't played Jedi 2 yet.
You haven't played Jedi 2, yeah. That's what we'll have to do.
Same thing.
We'll have to play it together.
Yeah,
we'll play it together. We'll bring back Youtini game nights on Twitter.
We can do it.
There you go.
We can do it.
The buttons are ready.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll point cameras at our TVs, and I'll control yours, and you can control mine. That's what we'll do.
You're not controlling anything in
look at
my
that.
setup, not once.
But
But I have
You'll
the
break
cameras. I have the camera set up to do everything. So
Wes
we
can
can do
barely not break his own setup, so I don't think we should try to.
It was a
Try to
struggle
mess with
today.
that too much. But most importantly, if y'all learn nothing from this show, it won't be Andor, so we'll be sad. That's our lives now, everybody. Welcome to them. And we will not be watching a new episode of Andor tomorrow, but we will be producing a new episode of the Youtini Show next Monday because we are back in full swing, as we always are every week. We'll see what happens because there's no week that there is no Star Wars.
Shout out to you, JG, for filling in the past 4 weeks. Thank you very much. You are a blast to hang out with.
We apologize for the dip in
absolutely.
quality of this and all future episodes that don't have JG, but we will try.
We have a 4-camera scene. We'll just switch to that one.
That's true.
Yeah, we'll just well, Bounty Hunt's over now, so he got some time left. Although he did just build himself a sim rig, we found out. So maybe. He's
that's true. Oh yeah. Just kidding. We're never
Time
gonna see
suck.
JG again.
Time
actually.
suck.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, we will be back next Monday. Maybe we'll talk about Andor again. I don't know. I'll put it in the outline. But that is all we got for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Youtini Show. Thank you to everyone who continues to watch us every single week. We love talking about this. We will be back next week to catch you up with all things going on in Star Wars. In the meantime, make sure you're heading over to youtini.com and following us on all of our socials for everything that is going on the daily. But until next week, be good to each other. Watch Andor again. And until then, may the Force be with you.